favorite one. Just like in all the other videos, Barnaby calls over to Wally. This time, he doesn't really get mad. Go on, kid, go! Oh.
And they want a delectable squeeze up? You'll know. Deliciously delectable, delectable. Squeeze up.
Shit. Just the facts from Just for Men. Fact. Dye your hair the wrong color, and people will notice. Just for Men shampoo in color offers 15 shades. Take compliments, not questions.
How? You can. With Roku Ads Manager, setting up a campaign is as easy as making a social post. The best part is that you can get started for as little as $500. If you already have content made for YouTube and socials, just upload as many versions as you want. Test it, tweak it, and run it straight to Direct action ads, users can shop, request info, and engage instantly, all with their TV remote. So, what if your business can run TV ads? Now with Roku Ads Manager, it can. You get started today at
None other than Frank Frankly. This guy loves butterflies. He even wears a butterfly-shaped bow tie to prove it. But he isn't limited to just one type of insect either. Eddie calls on him for help when an insect gets into his post office.
I'm afraid I only calls, Mr.
A critter, I guess to name it whatever it is. I'm leaving my whole post office. The most damning of all is that on the merchandise page, there's a letter from Frank to Wally talking about an insect that he saw and a picture explaining the legs of the bug. A bright and colorful insect that looks exactly like the insects that we've been clicking on throughout the video. If there's an insect, Frank is involved, which means that these videos are coming from him. It is Frank trying to talk to us. And it's clear that he knows the truth about what's going on when you take a closer look at the videos taking place in his garden. Frank is the only one with a vegetable patch, as seen from the neighborhood page. The garden isn't quite right. There's a rotting tomato just lying there, and Frank acknowledges it in one of the clips. But it's just left there for us to stare at, a sign of decay. Just like Wally, Frank is investigation. He's telling us that life since joining the cult isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's a sign of decay inside. There's something corrupt in the middle of this otherwise pristine-looking place. In fact, in multiple clips, he's suspicious of the true nature of basically everyone around him.
sort of beat. I've never seen any blue dog before in my life.
Frank knows the neighborhood, Barnaby, Howdy, and Home are not what they seem on the surface. In fact, he's afraid of them. In that same video clip of the vegetable garden, we see a lineup of these kinds of trees. If there are any professional gardeners out there that want to tell me exactly what they are and what their name is, I'd appreciate it because I wasn't able to find it, but to me, they seem very humanoid. We see 8 standing up in a line, and then one opposite them, upside down, head buried. 9 people in total. And then, remind me again how many neighbors there are. Poppy, Barnaby, Julie, Frank, Howdy, Eddie, Sally, Polly, Home. 9. These are our neighbors. But then, who's this one with his head buried and why? My mind immediately went to the phrase burying your head in sand. You know, refusing to think about unpleasant or negative things. If this is Frank's garden, it's likely that this has been put together by Frank. So maybe Frank knows the truth and is denying it? No. If he was denying it, he wouldn't be reaching out to us through the website. So it would make more sense for this one to be Wally, denying that there's anything wrong in the neighborhood to begin with. Or maybe it is symbolic of Frank hiding from the neighborhood because he knows the truth. He's now trying to tell us without being seen by everyone else because he's worried what the neighbors will do and if he gets caught. Sadly, though, it might be too late. On the staff-only page, there's a framed photo that has a note from the question answer, the curator that's putting together this entire Welcome Home exhibit. It says, quote, "This art was not part of the shipment. Please stop using the work printer that Frank did." But underneath the actual photo, written in invisible ink, are the words, "Who are you?" with an eye and a spiral. Last episode, we discussed how the eye represents Wally and the spiral represents Home, the two working together. And the invisible ink is one of the ways that they communicate with the outside world. For it to grab both Wally and QA's attention, it's gotta be an important detail, right? And while the image itself is quite dark, I felt like I recognized it from somewhere. Then the QA says that it's not part of the shipment or original assets. And there's one place where Welcome Home assets exist that aren't being considered carried by the Cloud Portfolio page. Sure enough, when I took a look, there was a high-res version of this exact image, and it shows our new helper, Frank Franklin. The image is a weird one. He's surrounded by his own body parts, arms, hands, eyes, and in the center of the photo we see Frank holding a mysterious red square. But these hands aren't like his usual ones. The number of fingers don't actually match up. Yep, it's like the good old days of FNAF, my friends, were counting fingers and toes before anyone becomes a robot. Anyway, like the other puppets, he typically has 3 fingers and a thumb. This image shows him with 4 regular fingers, with the thumb hidden behind the card that he's holding. These are human hands. I did think it was odd that Wally wrote under the photo, "Who are you?" I mean, it's clearly Frank's face. Wally knows who this is. He's one of the neighbors. So compared with the image of Frank having human hands, his question sounds slightly different. It's not "who are you?" it's "who are you really?" And going back through the information that we have on Frank, suddenly him being the odd one out becomes abundantly clear. The description pages tell us how each character came into the neighborhood. All of them except Frank. Frank's description actually reads, quote, "Frank does not have any known information regarding his origins prior to moving into Home when compared to the others. How he got into the neighborhood is just as much of a mystery to the WHRP as it is to us. He's hiding his identity to take
This
things
video
down
is a
from
pro.
the inside."
Holy shit.
In the photo, Frank has all these extra body parts around him. I suspect that all these spare parts are things he uses to disguise himself in order to break Wally and Home's little cult open from the inside. When talking to Wally about the flowers and Barnaby interrupts, Frank puts emphasis on a very specific word.
They actually have the blue pigmentation. They have to grow in some other spaces. Well, pine straw should be left for the other beds.
Telling me that these flowers are liars, Frankie?
I'm not telling you that these flowers are liars, Barnaby.
Frank isn't trying to tell Barnaby about these lying flowers, he's trying to tell someone else. It could be Wally. We know he's the perspective that we're seeing here. Maybe he's trying to reason with his good side. Or maybe this is his way of breaking the fourth wall, talking directly to us. When Frank is saying these flowers aren't as they seem, we're being shown the people standing together and the one representing Frank having his head buried in the sand. And what color is Frank's representation? Blue. He's telling us that he isn't what he appears to be. He's not a puppet from this neighborhood. He's a spy on the inside. This same photo of Frank with the human hands on Clown's Tumblr account has the hashtag scopophobia. Scopophobia is an extreme or irrational fear of being looked at or seen. Frank is afraid that he's going to be seen for what he truly is, but wants us to know the truth about this neighborhood, so he buries his head in the sand and writes messages to his trusty boss. I have no doubt that in the future updates we'll learn more about Frank, how exactly he became part of the neighborhood. I just hope that he's able to stay under the radar for long enough to tell us the truth.
There's someone else from the neighborhood who's been using the bugs on the website to expose Frank's plan. The local bug enthusiast and resident grump, Frank Franklin. But now, after all this time, the internet darling, Wally darling, is back. He's got a shiny new website in celebration of phone warming.
which is Welcome Home's version of Christmas in March. So, as you can tell, things are already not adding up, which means there's likely going to be a bunch of brand new lore waiting for us in the neighborhood. So, even though it's spring, wrap up warm, get a hot cup of cocoa, and join me, neighbor, as we uncover the secrets behind this new website and spread the holiday cheer for all to hear. For all to hear. For all to hear. First of all, when I say shiny new website, I really do mean it. This isn't just an update. The old website has been taken down and a new one has been rebuilt in its place in order to get rid of all those pesky bugs, glitches, and firewalls. There are these weird new doodles around the website, but I clicked on them and nothing happened, so it seems like this reboot was a success. Other than that, the website seems relatively similar to the old one, outside of the new Christmas figures. But if you take a look at the news section, there's a newsletter that tells us all about the new stuff they have over on the merchandise page. So, I guess that's where we're going next. And they really weren't lying. This is by far the biggest part of the update. There are audio files from Welcome Home commercials, songs sung by members of the neighborhood, including Wally's tone-deaf rendition of the song Toyland by Forrest Day. There's even children's toys that contain actual throwing knives and, unsettling, full of disturbing recipes that I definitely going to be sending over to Santa later. But there was one new addition that stood out to me above all the rest. Yes, even those deadly weapons. And that was the Crispy Sweets Frosted cereal box. More specifically, the back of the cereal box. We see our reliable mailman Eddie here holding a decoder ring, encouraging us to make or break some codes. Call it hunch, maybe that might be what this decoder ring uses to correlate them out there. And potentially these pictures are the exact same as the ones we can see scattered around the website. Ha! I knew those random doodles weren't just random doodles, so of course I scoured every page and found every last one of them. Now all we have to do is figure out what this jumble of letters is supposed to say. I managed to find the words away from prying eyes, but I was left with a handful of letters that at first I just couldn't figure out. That wasn't until I remembered that this is a web-based image. These letters aren't words, they're part of the URL. 3 W's in style and TNE spelling domain.net, giving us the website www.awayfrompryingeyes.net. And sure enough, type that into your search bar and they take you to a brand new website. This site is the writers of a member of the WHR gathering evidence of weird glitches from the website, trying to figure out what's going on. Going down the page, we can see that the writer is named W, which is suspicious given the only character we know with W as the first letter of their name is Wally. However, we don't really get anything more to go on, so I'm just going to leave that to you. But make no mistake, regardless, I started reading what W had to say. As I did, it occurred to me that we actually met this character before. In this post, W notes his frustration. Quote, no one has come forward and provided me to dead ends of seats piled up, which lines up with a quote from a newsletter that was posted during a minor update back in October, the Halloween update. And again, the writer is very vocal about the information. Our sources get to send the book, but I don't understand why. What is it worth to leave it out? Ripping out pages? What a waste. It takes so long to get everything off of them. Still, we're patient, aren't we? If you're reading this, please hurry. So, it would appear that W is the one writing the newsletters, but those aren't the only writings of theirs that we've seen. Remember on the original website when we found text that said things like, when I unwrapped the first letter, I felt it, I heard it, open, I want it out, I'm going to get it out. Well, the same kind of writing style can be seen in W on this website. I needed this. Everyone started to look at us. We want this as badly as I do. Up until now, we've suspected that these hidden entries on the old website were written by the question answerer, the museum curator that was hired to put on the Playtime exhibition. They created their own website that would tell us about a dream they had one Saturday before their day, calling them on the telephone. He was the only one acting erratically, so at the time, it made sense that he would be the one making these chaotic entries. But now, W's writing seems to be a much stronger match. Plus, it would make way more sense for a member of the WHRP to be able to alter the main website rather than a freelance museum curator. W even references the question answer and the events that we saw in the last update. Nothing from our curator was since covered. I don't know what happened to them to become so unwell. To create that page. Things clearly got a lot worse for our curator for between updates. So despite knowing about the website and what it said about the telephone, W decided to grab the defective toy anyway and continue trying to fix it after the exhibition. We can see a page labeled broken phone that contains their findings. No matter what W tries, the phone is still doing the same thing it was with the question answerer. It won't stop. When they pick it up, it doesn't give them an answer either, until it does. What we hear is Wally's terrible cover of the song Toyland. Only this time, there are lines from Wally talking at the beginning and end.
Like it, I wish I knew, but you still won't tell me anything.
Wally is still using the phone to communicate whoever is on the other end. But unlike last time with the question answer, I don't think this is the side of Wally controlled by Holly. Listen to what Wally said before hanging up.
Everyone's usually so busy, so it's just going on for a long while. I don't want to end this call.
That line, I don't want to end this call, to me, sounds like desperation. Wally says that he's alone with Hope, but it doesn't sound exciting because no one else around. Hope can take control and carry out his plan.
I have to go get ready for homework.
Home warning is the next part of Hope's scheme to keep the neighborhood in line and indoctrinate more people into this cult. So we can see this plan in action. Head on over to the second piece of evidence from this new secret site named commercials. On this page, W tells us they managed to somehow find snippets of the actual World TV show playing on their own TV. Previous entries on the old website talked about how no one seems to remember the show, and despite having a bunch of merch, they had no evidence the actual TV show existed. So this is a huge deal. At least it would be if W had actually managed to record any of it. Dude, you have one job, though I shouldn't give you too hard a time. They seem to recognise their mistake, and so from this point onwards, they leave the TV on, constantly watching, hoping the show would return to the screen, until finally, we found something. Quote, I was finally rewarded in December. The channel that appeared on didn't make any sense. I didn't care. Video evidence and audio started playing, one after the other. I've captured and compiled together whatever I did. When the footage would disappear, I would have to move to another channel, where another would appear and would disappear again. This explains why a Christmas-themed update seems to be happening in March. The newsletter that told us about the new merchandise is actually linked to December 25th, Christmas Day, but immediately after that, new newsletter released calling it a mistake. God, I hadn't realised how much time had passed. This update was planned for December, but they were so engrossed with these commercials, so determined to record evidence that they lost track of time and ended up staring at this TV for months. To the point they even claimed that things in their house had started to rot. But it was worth it, because now, after a year of the website talking about a show that didn't seem to exist, finally has video evidence of World of Hope, and what has been uncovered is harrowing. This video is mostly filled with commercials, advertising things like cereal, sleeping pills, and cigarettes. Yes, balanced breakfast for any child growing up in the 70s. I make a good joke about it, but back then, advertising this sort of thing with animated characters was pretty normal.
Hey, we ought to do something, Fred. Okay? How's about taking a nap? I got a better idea. Let's take a windscreen break.
However, foreign questionable adverts aren't the only things we want. W believes that the original show they saw never really appeared, except for a couple of clips from the perspective of a character we've not actually spent a lot of time with. Compared to the likes of Wally, Frank, or Barnaby, he felt like a bit of a background character, but now he seems to be taking center stage, showing us that encoder ring that got us started on this whole journey. I'm talking about Welcome Home's reliable mailman, Eddie. In these clips, we see Eddie wondering why no one asked him to deliver anything. So, past the time, he starts wrapping presents for his friends, but constantly begins to doubt his choices. No one is trusting him with mail, after this is even nothing.
Sally's present first. Still love this difficulty I got. I hope he does.
All of this eventually leads to frustration. He slams the desk and throws things around because he feels useless and alone. How am I supposed to do my job when no one gives me something to do? Poor guy, just give the man something to deliver. It's all he has. But these clips highlight something that's been bubbling away under the surface of Welcome Home pretty much since the beginning. Eddie is an outcast. In our last video, we showed that the interactions between the neighbours are not as harmonious as they seem. But looking more closely, you realise that out of all of them, Eddie is the one that is most often mistreated, insulted, or taken advantage of. When Eddie is talking to Howdy about what he's doing that day, Howdy is off.
When your accounts are scattered, it's hard to see your full financial picture. Count on Intuit Credit Karma to help connect your accounts in one place. Remove your debt. Carry over the money. Download the app to get started.
Strong total potential in progress. Wayne State University. Warrior Strong.
Experience a new era of viewership. Our iconic formula is now hyaluronic acid. Moisturize longer for skin smooth on the lawn. Maybe a facial image.
The Great Sleep Score. Azure DevOps and Defender for Cloud catch security issues, so you can catch more Z's. Little Caesars with $5.99 mix event. The pizzas are large and you're in charge. 2 or more You'll have a good one too, Ed. Talk your ear off.
Barnaby chases him down the street demanding his delivery, and in a secret video from the Halloween update, Sally was talking about a famous performer, Eddie, who's that same performer, Sally says. Even the maid reads it as if he's somehow lesser. Clearly, the town is very intimidating, but there's something else to that. Why is there? It's the holiday season. Surely there's something for Eddie to do. Even when the neighbors are being mean to him in those previous videos, he's still going around looking for a name. Hence, Barnaby was even able to chase him down the street. So, there's all the mail. Well, do you guys remember the guest book from the original website? The one that had all those reaction stories from Wally that helped us figure out who was talking to us? And do you remember what greeted us before we entered that guest book? A colourful envelope. It's a lot version of Eddie here, image telling you to visit the guest book next to another Eddie is associated with the guest book, almost as if he's responsible for delivering those messages. But the guest book is closed to stop interacting with this quote. I'm closing the guest book. I'm not playing this game anymore. The ring is enough. You can still see the guest book, but we're no longer able to see new entries. There were no new messages to pass on, no new letters to deliver, and that's why come home. Eddie has run out of stuff to deliver because the well of fan interactions is dried up, meaning he's out of a job. Now it's starting to crack. That is exactly what Hope wants. This video continues with the residents all heading to home for the home warming party. Eddie sits down, the narrator says, but as the line is repeated, Eddie's face begins to sweat. He is concerned. The audio begins to build until suddenly there's silence. Eddie looks at his phone, plates the heart single. That's pretty good, but this quote-unquote meal is featured on the last page of the Welcome Home cookbook as a certified showstopper, and at the bottom of the recipe is a note. Having a get-together, consider inviting more peas to the party. Add additional peas according to how many guests there are. Take care not to place them too close together. The peas aren't just peas, they are representations of the neighbours from home, just like the pegs were in the last update. And it's telling us to have them all separated rather than together. Up until now, we believe that Home wasn't happy about the neighbours constantly fighting each other. The more I look at this pea on a plate, the more I wonder if that's actually what Home wants. Home doesn't want any of them too friendly or close. Why? Because it offers them the perfect opportunity for control. In this video, Eddie looks up to find himself alone in the black void with Home staring right back at him. A scene that looks awfully familiar to the one we found at Home on the old website. A black void with Wally worshipping Home as Home's eye is staring at him. What follows? Sounds of him struggling, his heartbeat racing, he clutches the arms of the chair, his vision begins to blur until we are snapped back into the party with Frank and Sally talking to Eddie. Exactly like what happens to Wally during the Halloween update. We've known for a while that Wally is under the control of Home, and so this new video is showing us that he's why Eddie is also falling into Home's grasp. Earlier in this video, we played a clip that shows Wally being isolated and alone. That is Home's tactic. Get the neighbours alone, disenfranchise them with the neighbourhood, and take control. We see the idea repeated in Wally's rendition of Toy While Eddie was living in the neighbourhood just dwelling, he was happy. But the moment he saw the neighbourhood wasn't all it was cracked up to be, passing its orders, he's gone too far. He can't go back to pretending everything is fine. Eddie feels like he's not wanted in the neighbourhood. He's becoming separated from the group. So much so that he's the only one to not have any home warming decorations on his post office. And thanks to the lack of mail from the guest book, he's become isolated, lacking purpose, making him the perfect puppet. And remember, the only reason he has no mail is because Wally, Home's first puppet, was responding to the guest book, which forced W to shut it down. Home has been playing 4D chess this whole time, and we had no idea. Home is using W to take control of the neighbourhood, the WHRP, and the world. Eddie being under Home's control also explains why W hasn't received any updates since Christmas. WHRP always said all the information found on this website was extracted from documents that had been uncovered in privately covered envelopes. Coloured envelopes have always been associated with Eddie. He delivers all mail to and from Home in these coloured envelopes, which means he was always helping Wally to separate things from his staff. But now Eddie is collecting sent men. He's working for hope. But hope is not lost. Frank frankly is seen at the end of this video talking to Eddie. But when Eddie isn't responding, Frank becomes more concerned. He stops addressing Eddie as Mr. Dick and starts whispering his first name. As we discussed last time, Frank is the man on the inside. He was the one we found on the question answer secret website in a picture that showed him human hands surrounded by his own body parts. He is using these to disguise himself and uncover the culprit center of the neighborhood. Now he's using the bugs to see videos of us realize that whole truth. As Eddie can barely get a word out during this encounter, it seems like Frank is aware of what's happening to him. He's becoming a puppet for Hope's game, so he's trying to help him break away. Each time Frank says Eddie's name, Eddie's vision becomes clearer. Kind of like how in the secret videos we found by clicking Frank's bugs, we see Wally's vision begins to glitch out when his name is mentioned. These videos are from Frank, so he knows that saying their names, expressing concern and building those connections is not from home, but he does it in whispers so the rest of the neighbors, especially Wally, can't. Yet other neighbors don't know that Frank isn't really sensitive, so he's secretly doing or trying to help Eddie out best he can. But discuss, W hasn't received any email since Christmas, which means this fix is likely to be temporary. And with 2 out of 8 members of the neighborhood under Home's control, it's only a matter of time for the rest of the town to come to Home's plan. And if Home has their way, well, this is sounding their rules. And boy, was I right about that last bit. This is your holiday gift, everyone. Time for a bit of a mini because since then the website has received another update for this year's Halloween. The real website remains largely the same. The only thing that was new was the introduction of a new recording called Brick by Brick, along with books to lock. Most of it is your standard Sesame Street style story. Sally is putting together another scary play. Even Home wants to be in it, but sadly they are rejected as Sally wants Poppy to be the star. Trust me, Sally, you do not want Poppy being your main character. It never ends well. Fortunately, Poppy is far too frightened to do it, so declines, leaving an opening for her to take place. Though it's sad that Poppy might still hear the scary play from her house and then has to do the only logical thing. They break up her window so that she can be alone in peace. For friends like these who need evidence, by the end of the story, we the audience will just have to read by ourselves. But that ends well, and Wally ends up saying everything is fine and simple. But as you'd expect, this lovely story has more story to tell. One that will be kept away from prying eyes. That's right, though the main website is mostly the same, our secret website run by W has undergone some more interesting alterations. Some are small changes that focus on W's tracking of someone that was responding to secret messages we found in Wally's drawings. But the real change comes with the addition of the brick by brick audio book. Although W points out a large number of differences between the text of the book and the audio books. Most notably, it contains the part of the audio that cut out in the original tape, though it doesn't seem to match what we read in the storybook. As Poppy is left alone in her home, we started this sound with a knock on the door. Poppy, frightened, says the door is open, but the knocks grow louder. The doorknob is frantically turned and Poppy descends into madness. We hear Sally asking if Poppy is okay, and as Poppy comes to, she once again says she couldn't get out. Suddenly we hear Frank. This sounds very similar to what happened to Eddie in the last episode. Eddie was isolated from the rest of the neighborhood. That is when Holmes took control of Eddie. Now, Holmes' automatically sounds are showing up again when Poppy is isolated and frightened in order to take control. Really seems represented in the storybook. Sally tries to cast Poppy in the play, but Holmes ends up taking the place. Holmes takes over as Poppy. And as we're listening to Poppy's breakdown, the page of the storybook just shows Wally saying everything is as Wally, Holmes' faithful servant, is revealing that this was all part of the plan, that everything is as it should be. Everyone should be isolated and become part of Holmes. Frank is coming in with a whisper, trying to calm them down and save them, bringing them back to reality without the dark noticing. But Frank needs to up his game, and fast if he's going to save everyone. With each new update, we are seeing a member of the neighborhood become isolated and taken over by a habit. First with Eddie, now with Poppy. If Frank insists on staying under the radar like this, Julie, Sally, Howard, and Barnaby will all be succumbing to Holmes' evil plans very soon. But hey, that's
When they want to go like the both squeeze up, I'm excited. You'll know. Squeeze up.
Is everyone ditching their old mattress for this one? I now understand why this viral vector mattress has thousands of 5-star reviews.
Do you need to know before Poppy Playtime Chapter 4? It's been a whole year since the previous chapter, and in the meantime, Mob has done what they do best, giving out more lore than you can shake a mechanical arm at. So don't worry, loyal theorists, because I have played the spin-offs, I watched every trailer, I even read the book. Also,